Dear old and new viewers, you are welcome to Makindame Academy. Here is your favorite Mr. Mark. This is examiner in 0562. I am going to continue today with the home and the family. I think that's our lesson of today. And just like our previous lessons, we have our objective. Each topic has its objective. So what are the objectives of today's lesson? We are going to see the definition of a home. We are going to see the characteristics, elements, or components of a home. This is going to help us distinguish between, let's say, a home from other structures like a bank, like a school. It's from the component that you can make the difference. We are going to see a broken home, which is something we are not praying for, and we have to let our learners understand the causes of this and their effects. We are going to as well look at the aspects of hygiene and sanitation at home, which is what is expected for healthy well-being. We are going to lastly look at the importance of home in human life. You must bear with me that a home has both physical and psychological importance or advantages, which if you are not keen enough, you may not identify them. So without taking much of our time, we are going straight to our first objective of today's lesson. And the first objective of today's lessons, we are going to see the definition of a home. You may ask me why we are discussing a home here. It's from the family, and you bear with me that family members mostly abort or mostly reside, or their domicile is a home. So we are going to see the definition of a home in two different ways. A definition of a home can be seen in line with your geographical origin, as well as we see the definition of a home based on your structure, that is, your domicile, your place of habitation, or your abode. So we are going to start first with the first aspect of it, or the first way of seeing a home. Most of us, if you ask a child in primary school what is a home, the first idea that comes in the mind of that child is where they stay, where they live, where the family stays. So what is a home? It is a dwelling place. When we say a dwelling place, that is where people live. That is a family or an individual. This place creates maybe comfort. It has a security, which are aspects that you and I cannot really identify, or you cannot easily see them. So on this aspect, we are dwelling on the structure part of a home, which is a house, a building where family members stay. Now, the second aspect of it, you ask somebody from, let's say somebody is in the United States of America, and you ask him, where are you going to? He will say, I'm going home. That is, the home there is not the structure, but is a country of origin. That is, the home there is compared to, or is related to the geographical area of that person's origin. That is where that person is coming from. So these aspects should equally be taken into consideration. At times we use that statement without really taking it important. Even at times you leave the house, or you leave, let's take, you are in the economic capital of Cameroon, which is precisely we are talking about Douala, and you want to travel to Northwest, maybe in a village in Northwest, and they ask you, but I heard you went home. Say yes. The home there is not as to the structure, but the place where you are coming from. So take note of these two important aspects or definition of a home. But we are going to dwell mostly on the structural part of a home, where learners are mostly evaluated on both the components and let's say hygiene and sanitation. So we are going to start first with the component of a home. What makes a person, what help you identify a home and differentiate a home from other structures? For instance, you and I are friends in school, and say, please, can I visit you home? Say yes. Or can I accompany you home? Say yes. Why not? Now, you take me to a place, I meet a board, I meet benches or desks, and you tell me that is a home. What comes in my mind is that this should be a school. What identifies? Is there somebody who whispered to me that it is a school? No. What the characteristics, the component announced to me the structure, the purpose of that structure. So the purpose of a home is a dwelling place, and as such, we are expecting to see certain things. What are some of those things we are expecting to see in a home? So they are divided into two. I would like to lay more emphasis on this because most questions will focus on what are the components of a home. If I'm not making a mistake, then that's the 2023 GCE. They ask students to discuss the physical and the psychological component of a home. Most of them dwell on the physical, and the physical was not properly answered because they dwell on one physical component of a home. So please, you take note of this aspect of a component of a home. So discussing the component of a home, I would like to say there are physical component and there are psychological component of a home. We start with the physical component. What are physical components? This is what your eyes can see and what your hand can touch around the dwelling place, that is the home. So what are those aspects that you and I can see and touch which compose or which constitute a home? One, we have the structure. Now, the structure here enclosed has its own component. Please take note. Don't give me when I ask what are the physical component of a home and you dwell on that the physical component of a home. We have the kitchen, we have the bedroom, we have the sitting room, we have the garage, we have the toilet. You are focused on structure, and as such, I will give you but 1 mark, or any other examiner will give you but 1 mark, because there are other components of a home you are supposed to discuss, not just the structure. The structure is just one of the points. Now, what is the structure? Here we are discussing the house or the building which accommodate the family members. Now, what are the components of this building? In the building we have a kitchen, in the building we have a bedroom, in the building we have a sitting room, in the building we have garage, and in the building we have toilet. These are components of that structure, not components of a home. Please, they fall under structure. So a structure is the component of a home, and in that structure we have other sub-components like kitchen, bedroom, sitting room, garage, and toilet. So be careful when you are outlining this point. Now, apart from the structure, do we have other components of a home? Why not? We have household. Now, the household here in order what we call family members. You must bear with me that the home is made up of people, and these people are mostly related either by blood adoption or marriage, and they are all family members. And as such, since they are related or interconnected by blood, marriage, and adoption, they are called family members. The structure itself is not there without people. So the structure is to assist or to accommodate human beings, not animals. So you take note of that. So a home is a human settlement. So we have people here. You can discuss the people who make up the household. You can talk of father, mother, children, and other blood relatives. At times you have uncles who stay with you, cousins, we have nephews, nieces, and so on and so forth. That is the household or the family members. And from the household and family members, we have next here needs, which are basic needs. Yes, you take me to your home and we come to you. I'm indirectly seeing, but let's say a chalkboard. I'm seeing benches. There is a different conception which comes in me, and the conception is that this should be a school, not a home. So what am I expecting to see in a home to convince me that this is a dwelling place? We have basic needs. And what are some of those basic needs? And we have food. Now, this food, you have things like pots, we have things like plates, we have things like, let's say, medication, which mostly is there for first aid. These are components, or these are the basic needs which are expected or which are needed in a home. From there we move to domestic animals. You must bear with me that in the African society, and most often in culture in rural areas, we have domestic animals which constitute part of the home. It's either serving as food or it serves as security. You bear with me that dogs and cats serve like security. The dog is there to secure the home from trespassers, as well as the cat is there maybe to prevent other dangerous animals which can affect the home. Apart from this, we have the farms and garden. Yes, in rural areas, if you get back to our villages, the farm is always beside the home. And this farm is there is either to produce them with vegetables, or at times they even go to the extent of cultivating food crops. And these food crops will assist them maybe to carry out to keep the family or to feed the family. Those are the physical, that is what you and I can see and touch, which constitute part of the home. I take it over, we have the structure, which the structure is made of the kitchen, made of bedrooms, made of sitting rooms, garage, and so on and so forth. We have the household, which is family members that constitute the home. We have the needs, and needs here we have things like need, pots, beds, spoons, chairs, and so on and so forth, which is furniture, if you can put it that way, bed, chairs, that's furniture. We have domestic animals, which is part of the home. We serve as either food or it serves as a source of raising income, because at times when these domestic animals are reared, they later sell them to raise money maybe for some family needs. As well as we have the farms and gardens. These are the physical elements of the home. Apart from the physical element, this is where now it's challenging for a student or a child at let's say from 15 to 25 years to easily identify the psychological or emotional components of a home. They are not seen, but they are felt. You feel them. Now, what are some of these components of a home that you don't see them, you can't touch them, but you feel once at home? We have one piece. At times you are disturbed out. You are seriously in pain. Don't you tell people that, please, can I be allowed to go back home? Students are always fond of saying that. Say, please, I'm tense, or can I go home? Why is that child mentioning the home in that situation? Because the child thinks that at home, she has peace. There is that peace of mind, freedom at home. So that is an aspect of the home which is hidden, but psychological. We have protection or security. I will tell you that even animals do enjoy this. If you meet a dog out of the gate and you want to threaten the dog will run and enter the gate. If you dare enter the gate, the dog is going to chop you raw. Why? Within that gate, the dog knows that it is protected. And as such, once the dog sees the family member, the dog can attack you without fear, meaning the dog feels that protection at home. So you look for trouble, or you look for you cause problems out of your house, and the best place you think of running to is a home. Once you get beside your gate, maybe the insults you were given, you multiply them, because you know back home you are protected. Once you enter the gate, you have become a pro. You have a balcony that is there to protect you. You have comfort. Comfort is another psychological component of a home. What do we mean here? At times when we are tensed up, when we are disturbed, the only place where you can have that comfort is back home, because that is where your loved ones exist. And because of that deep feeling, that intimacy they have with you, they will always let go the consequences of what made you to feel discomfort, and they comfort you. So that is a hidden or a psychological component of a home. We have love and feelings. Love between family members is more than that of strangers or people who meet. If you meet me to harm my kid brother, you may take 3 years to convince me to do that. But if you meet me to do something to a stranger, which I see some benefit from it, that may take me some few days to convince myself to do that. Meaning the affection, the relationship I have with my love, that is my siblings, my family members, or at home, is higher. It is very insecure for you to come and see a person You are not secure. You saying that because you know the challenge is high. So that love at home is high. And last but not the least, we have the fear of God. That is another component which is hidden at home. There are certain things you want to do. Your pocket, just look at your kid brother. He came back home from school and he ate your food. You think of even to chop off his hand with a knife. You just calculate, this my brother and my blood. You just let it go. But if a stranger does that to you, maybe your reactions will not be the same with that of your siblings or your family members. So there's always that fear of doing something evil to your family member, which is the fear of God. Because our parents always transfer this value to us. So we take note, these are the psychological and the physical component of a home. What can help you identify a home and differentiate it from different structure? From the elements of a home, what we have next is broken home. What do we mean by broken home? That is, you bear with me that the home is a place of comfort, a home is a place of unity, a home is a place of peace, but there are some times or some there are challenging moments at home which instead for them to live in unity, they are in disunity. That is a complete breakdown in the family relationship. And when this happens, what does it amount to? It can either amount to divorce or it can amount to separation, depending on their marital status. Now, when we talk of divorce, we are discussing those who are legally married, that is, who are in possession of a marriage certificate. So when they move apart, we call that divorce. But now, those who are not in possession of marriage certificate, and maybe because of the challenges they face, they move apart, we call that separation. So broken home can lead to either divorce or is an outcome of what? Divorce and separation. Now, what can be the cause of this aspect? We are teaching students not to practice, but to avoid them so that tomorrow they will not be victims of broken home and their consequences. Now, what are some of those causes of broken home? We have one, incompatibility. You have a partner who is, maybe he loves outing and you are not that type. You will realize that to a certain level, both of you will not move in the same direction. And when you are not moving in the same direction, there is a probability that you will move apart. We have a second point, that is getting into marriage relationship without studying your partner's word. You get into a marriage relationship, maybe you meet with a girl for the first time out of excitement. You just take into marriage and you propose marriage to her, you enter the marriage without really studying the values of that person. And later on you discover that the values are not corroborating with yours, or they are not corresponding to what you need in life. And as such, you can easily move apart. We have infidelity. That is the partners who are married having extra relationship with people other than the ones they are married with. That is, we have adultery, we have fornication, and in case where they are not legally married. So if you take such aspects in a family, it can lead to what? Broken home. We have irresponsibility. Now, irresponsibility does not only affect the mother and the father, it affects the child as well. Now, how does it affect the child? Consider that you come back home as a child and your father is unable to pay your school fees, or your father is unable to provide your basic needs. You bear with me that you will never be in good terms with your father because of that aspect of irresponsibility. And it does not only end at that level. Your mother as well. Maybe you go to school, your father has given food money, and when coming back home, you meet your mom, she is instead cleaning her nails, and maybe she has eaten her roasted fish, and maybe you ask her, Mama, I want to eat that, please take the money that your father left there and go and prepare food. Maybe due to that frustration, you might develop some hatred for your mother because of her irresponsible attitude. So such can cause broken home. What else can cause problems within a family member? We have external family pressure. Yes, you are married to a woman and that woman is not all that welcomed by family members. They can pressurize you to an extent that you develop a hatred for that woman, or they can cause problem between the family members, that is between the husband and the wife. Such as well cause problem. We have male chauvinism. You know, with us Africans, we consider a male child to be more important. And if you attach that if you have that emotional attachment to having a male child instead of a female child, it can cause problem between you and your wife. Maybe you end up laying emphasis on your wife for causing you not to have a male child, which you may not understand that the problem is between you and the woman. So this can cause family breakdown, or it can cause a broken home. And last but not the least, you can talk of a attitude of not communicating. That is non-communication in the family. Family is expected to have a mutual and a calm communication. So when communication fails or communication goes wrong, it can extend or it can exceed to separating family members. Now, we are discussing and we are criticizing or we are condemning family breakdown or broken home. Why? Because of its consequences. What are the consequences of a broken home? It affects both the child, the mother, and the father. How does it affect the child? At times, it makes, if they separate in the course of divorce, maybe the parent who wants to take care of the child might not be financially viable to take all the responsibilities of that child, and as such, it will lead to the extent of that child having some limited basic needs or even going without basic need. That is a disadvantage of a broken home to the child. It may also bring confusion. Maybe they stop the child from school. At times, both parents are conflicting. You are the one to take this responsibility. You are the one to take this responsibility. With this argument of value and who should take responsibility, it causes a problem, and maybe they abandon what they are supposed to do for that child, thereby frustrating the life of that child. Let's look at the disadvantage on the part of the woman. At times, it makes women to become prostitutes. Maybe she cannot bear that because of it is so sudden and prompt. And because of that promptness in separation with the husband, she will now be forced to to keep herself and to purchase some of her basic needs, expose herself to many men, which has never been the case, and that is prostitution. It leads to psychological and emotional trauma because a woman starts calculating again how to have a new partner. Consider that this happened at the age of 35. You now considering yourself again, looking for a new person to suit yourself in that person's way of life. It becomes difficult. So at that moment, a woman becomes psychologically traumatized. Now, on the part of the man, how does it affect? It affects a man to have another relationship in life because you may go on, you may ask yourself that, but why can't I move on? Yes, you move on, but to suit yourself with a woman who is of your own value, you might be chanced to have that, and you may not be opportune to have that. So that is a disadvantage on a man. Suiting himself or having a future partner becomes a problem. Apart from that, how does it affect a man? It can as well affect the reputation of a man. That is, your reputation in the society becomes tampered in such that the women, as we know, at times they look at you and they laugh at you because the respect of a man and a woman at times comes from the marriage. So once you are not together, they tend to see you like a useless man, which maybe will not be the case. So those are some of the effects of broken home, and as such, we educate our learners to avoid broken homes or disagreement, disunity within the family, because it can affect the child, it can affect the woman, and it can affect the father. So with broken home, we are going to move straight to the aspects of hygiene and sanitation at home. Yeah, with hygiene and sanitation, remember, for us to live a healthy life, we are supposed to take care of ourselves and the surrounding. And as such, it is going to give us a healthy home. Now, hygiene and sanitation are concepts which are interrelated, but they are the same. Interrelated in the sense that they work in accordance of, they are interwoven. When I say interwoven, they depend on each other. So we start with hygiene. What is hygiene? It is the practice or the act of keeping yourself and the surrounding clean to avoid diseases. Now, this aspect of keeping yourself and the surrounding clean to avoid diseases, how is it carried out? Now, it takes us to what? The different types of hygiene. Hygiene has the three main types. We have personal hygiene, we have household hygiene, and we have food hygiene. Now, what is personal hygiene? Here, I want to emphasize, because when you ask students to discuss on aspect of hygiene, how can you ensure hygiene at home? Most students dwell on the personal hygiene and they don't mention household and food hygiene. When we are marking, we take all the three into consideration, in such that if they have 6 points to mark on, if you give all the 6 points under personal hygiene, you bet you can never have more than 3 on 6. So what are you expected to do? You should mention parts of aspect of personal hygiene, you should mention aspect of household hygiene, and you should mention aspect of food hygiene. Now, I take aspect of personal hygiene. We have regular brushing of teeth. That is, you brush your teeth either in the morning and in the evening. That is an aspect of hygiene. We have washing with soap. You are supposed to bathe maybe twice daily, in the morning and in the evening. That is an aspect of hygiene. Washing your underwear and keeping your inner waist clean. That is an aspect of hygiene. Washing your hands before and after eating. That is an aspect of hygiene. Use handkerchief to catch cough. That is an aspect of hygiene. We move to household hygiene. That is an aspect. All what we have discussed here are aspects of personal hygiene. Now, moving to household hygiene. This mostly concerns the surrounding. And when we talk of the surrounding here, the immediate surrounding of that home, which is the inner part of the home and out of the home. So what are you expected to do to ensure household hygiene? You have things like cleaning and mopping the floor, cleaning of your bed or arranging your bed, your bedroom immediately after you get up from bed. You have kitchen should be kept clean, keeping the kitchen clean. That is an aspect of household hygiene. You keep the toilet pot clean. Maybe after using the toilet, you make sure it is clean. That is an aspect of household hygiene. You disinfect with accumulating standing water. Where you have accumulating standing water, you are supposed to disinfect it so as to scare away mosquitoes from it, which can affect the family members. You have pit toilet should be regularly disinfected so as to avoid that pungent smell. Those are aspects of household hygiene. Now we are going to food hygiene. With food hygiene, I'm going to quote the World Health Organization, now which we commonly call WHO. The World Health Organization has elaborated few aspects or key ways of ensuring food hygiene, and as such, what are their own preaching concerning food hygiene? You separate raw food from cooked food. You bear with me that when raw food and cooked food are kept in the same place, it can lead to contamination, and with that contamination can lead to food poisoning. So you have to separate raw food from cooked food. We have cooked food for appropriate length of time and temperature. You should not, because of hunger, maybe you take rice and you put rice for 10 minutes and you start eating the rice. The rice has not been cooked for an appropriate time or length of time. And the temperature as well, because you have no means, you take wrappers and use wrappers to prepare food. Maybe you put the wrappers, you keep on burning the wrappers for you to prepare food. That can affect you because the temperature of which you are preparing the food is not the appropriate one. We have stored food at the proper temperature. So you are supposed to keep your food at a proper temperature. That is, you are supposed to cover your